Hello, GDQ. I am Nerd Squared, and I'll be submitting this wonderful racing game called Mower Racing for SGDQ 2026. We'll be submitting this as a race submission. I'm submitting it with two other runners, and actually, funnily enough, the only other two runners of this game, King J0444 and Rhino64. So that's the idea. I'll be submitting this as a three-way race. If logistics for a race scenario ends up not working out, like one of us has to drop out or something, we could make it just a two-way race or a solo run, but ideally we'll submit it as a three-way race. Yeah, this is a lawnmower racing, like I said. This is kind of a jank indie racing game, and you'll see just how jank it is pretty soon. And I'll be running in the career mode. Essentially, this game's campaign mode, more or less. As you can see, there's 10 tracks to be racing through right here, and that's the idea of the category. I'll be racing all 10 tracks all in a row. And we also have a bit of a New Game Plus setup going on with this run, because as you can see, there's a bunch of mowers you can upgrade to, and then within that, driver and wheels don't matter, but what does matter is the upgrades. You can upgrade different aspects of the mower, as you're seeing here in the menu, like the speed, braking power, acceleration, handling, all of that stuff. So we go ahead and get... I'm trying to find the mower here. This mower, the Grass Rocket, that's the fastest mower in the game, as you can see there. Then we upgrade all of the stats to max. So we'll be able to go very fast, as you'll see throughout the run. But with all that being said, time starts. I'm assuming that's my... What was my split key? I forgot. Oh, it's B, I think. No, I'm not tapped into my timer. Hold on. I'm a professional speedrunner. Don't worry about it. There we go. All right. All right, so time starts when we select the first track, Village Loop. In 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, yeah, that can happen sometimes too. So there's a bug in this game where if you quit out in the middle of a race and try to start another one right after, like I just did, the game doesn't actually start the race, it just boots you back here to the main menu. That's a fun little quirk of this game. Wasn't even intending to show that off, and it happened anyway. But for realsies this time, we'll get started when we select the first track, Village Loop. In 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. So yeah, it's pretty... Oh, okay. Almost crashed there. So it's pretty basic, honestly, as far as mechanics go. You're just holding down gas a lot of the time. Although you see these blue tanks around the track, those are nitrous tanks, because we can boost, as you can see. We boost here by holding down the X button, where R2 is gas, and I think square is braking. And those blue tanks will refill your gas gauge on the bottom right, so you can keep using the nitrous to boost. A little fun fact about the nitrous, you can actually just hold down X all the time, and it'll activate it right away as soon as you refill it up with one of the blue tanks, which isn't too big of a time save, but still helps. And it's worth noting as well that with the fastest mower, as I showed earlier, we go very fast in this game. Our top speed, as you'll see here, ends up at like 85, 86, and when we use the nitrous, we can go all the way up to 90. So technically we could just stay in full speed the whole time, or most of the time anyway, and not use the nitrous, but like I said, the time speed from the nitrous still helps, or time saved from the nitrous still helps. You also see all these racers just completely screwing the pooch and crashing into each other. That's a pretty normal thing to happen in this game, because the AI, hold on, I'll be crossing the finish line here. The AI in this game is very jank, as you'll see throughout the run. They kind of have two modes that they operate in. They either just lock the heck in and don't give you room to breathe, and they like actually sweat and do really well, or they'll just do that. Their AI will just crap out and they'll get caught crashing against each other. That's a danger not only to them, because the other racers get caught, but can also be a danger to you, because if they happen to have their AI crap out, while you're driving right next to them, they can push you into a wall or into a ramp, and you can't really do much about it. You also see as I go through some of these courses that I'm not taking any ramps. When you take ramps, obviously, you get a bit of airtime, and airtime is very slow in this game, so we want to try avoiding taking ramps as much as we can. And that's part of the reason why sometimes I might hold back on using the nitrous, because of how tight some of these corridors can be with all the ramps in the way. It can be a little tricky to navigate, especially if you have nitrous, so we generally try to pace out when we use the nitrous. It's especially difficult on some of the later tracks because they put ramps in areas where it's kind of hard to avoid jumping on them. So if we end up having to take a ramp, we just take the L basically and eat the time loss. And that's a fun part about this game too for a race scenario. Because it is so random with how the AI racers behave, it's really anyone's game with this race. Like, it's definitely one of those games I can see happening where one person's like in last, but something really trolly happens to the other two racers and they just like shoot to first. Like, we could have a scenario like that happen for sure. So yeah, we're on Cottage Road, the third track of the game. Not so much to talk about here, but there is one other trolley mechanic that you can go over. So with some of these tracks, which, by the way, a lot of them look the same, that's just how this game is, but sometimes with these tracks, like you just saw there, there's some of these little tighter corners that we have to take in order to not crash. And naturally, when you go around some of these tight corners, like this one at the end of the track, your first instinct is to just hold hard left on the joystick. Well, this game really likes to oversteer when you do that. It's like sometimes, like I said, you'd be holding left like that to go around a corner and the game will just like turn sharp left. And you'll just end up crashing into a wall when you least expect it. There is a way you can kind of induce the... Oh, wasn't aware I was at the end of the race there already. There's kind of a way to induce braking though, to make getting those tight turns a little easier. You can kind of let go of gas very briefly while you're holding the stick, and that'll induce the oversteering on purpose, so you can take these corners a little easier. But now we're on the worst track in the entire game, which is a big reset point, and very likely where we're going to crash a lot if we do crash. Because, like I said, there's lots of ramps that are in your way that are hard to avoid, like this one. And also there's a bunch of rocks and umbrellas on the side of the track that you can very easily crash into like that. Thankfully, this game does have a respawn feature that you can activate by pressing triangle, so even if we do crash like that, it's not too much of a time loss. What's funny though is that the racers can also use that respawn feature. And like I said, the AI tends to crap out a lot of the time, so there can be cases where when the racers do end up crashing, or crashing into each other in some cases, they'll just spam the respawn feature and fall on top of each other. King J that I mentioned before, who is also submitting this, he had a pretty funny clip in particular during one of his runs. It's in a video he did about this game on YouTube, where I don't remember exactly what happened, but I believe he crashed, tried respawning, then 5 other CPU racers also respawned and then just fell right on top of him. It was really funny. That's just the like ridiculous stuff you can get up to in this game. That would make it really fun for not even just a race scenario, just a showcase of this at SGDQ. Because jank indie games like this are right up my alley. In fact, the very first 2 games I ever ran for GDQ were exactly like this, where it was like jank or really goofy indie games. So definitely be a pretty good show off, I think. Alright, so we go into a bit of a calm before the storm kind of deal, or calm after the storm, I guess, in this case. Rule route. Oh, of course they crapped out immediately. Oh god. See, like I said, that's the danger that can happen sometimes with the AI racers doing that. They can have a big pile up and get you caught in the crossfire. And this is also what I was talking about with the AI being weird. They can turn in a place you don't want them to, or in a direction you don't want them to, I mean, and they can just force you into a wall. And you can't do too much about it. This race is a pretty good example of what I was talking about with intentionally inducing oversteer to get some tighter turns. There's a lot of those in the later tracks. Right here is a big left-right that the game has you do right there. Yeah, a lot of the tracks look pretty much exactly the same. And speaking of exactly the same, because like it's roughly the same kind of track layout between a lot of the tracks. They just change the textures to make it look a bit different, pretty much. And also, this is just very high quality graphics, as you can see. Reminder, this game is on PS5, and I've even been playing on a PS5 Pro just to flex, and this is how it looks. So that's the quality of game that we're dealing with here. I was gonna say something, but I lost my train of thought. Oh well, I'll probably remember at some point. Oh yeah, speaking of, though, we're moving on to Pond Path. You remember before with Meadow Run where we had to deal with those rocks and umbrellas? It's the same case here. Oh my god. See, that's what I was talking about with the AI racers being interesting. But yeah, kind of similar to Meadow Run, this track also has a bunch of rocks and umbrellas that you have to watch out for, so just gotta be aware of that as we go through the track. Yeah, like I was saying, the AI racers, you can have really interesting interactions with them just because of how glitchy and weird the game is in general. I remember one time I was doing a run the other day, and on this track specifically, actually around this corner that I'm turning now, I managed to clip inside a racer as he respawned in from getting himself unstuck. And when he regained collision, he launched me out of himself, and I just flew out of bounds, front flip and all. I was losing my crap when I saw that. So when you do mess up in this game, or when like some dumb stuff happens to you, it's not too bad in the end because it's so really funny, which is pretty cool. That's what makes running this bearable for how jank it is. See, that's what I was talking about with the left turns just oversteering. Or turns in general oversteering. Alright, that's the end of that one. What are they doing? What are they doing? Did you see that? They just like clumped up in front of the finish line. It's fine, we still made it. Hill track, okay. Something else I want to point out, because I remember what my train of thought was earlier. The music. There's only 5 tracks in the game, and to quote King J, it is the most dude perfect thing you've ever heard for pretty much every song. Like, it's something you'd hear in a Dude Perfect video, which I did not think of that comparison, and now I can't unsee it. Some of it's pretty good, though, honestly, even though it does sound kind of generic. Like, we're not hearing it here, but there's, like, one really good, like, country soundtrack, I think, that plays kind of randomly. I haven't heard it yet, I think, but it's in there. There's also an interesting bug, speaking of the music, that can happen with the music. So if you finish a race and then real quickly after that one start the next race, I think it's just if you start it too quickly after the previous one, the main menu music doesn't have a chance to play, so it just plays during the race on top of the whatever music track of the 5 the game has that it has decided to play. So you'll just get overlapping music, and it sounds so weird. Alright, we're going on to the last 3 tracks of the game. Field Drive now. Kind of similar to Pond Path, I think was earlier. Got some rocks to deal with, but they aren't too bad in the grand scheme. Unless the racers pile up like that. You can use that intentionally induced oversteer just to take some of these corners a bit tighter. Especially right here, because there's another left-right the game has us do there. Yeah, a lot of this game, especially if you're trying to go for really good times, which, by the way, I have the world record in this game, not to toot my own horn. It's basically a lot of adaptability, you know, just kind of reacting to whatever jank the AI racers throw at you and trying to get out of harm's way, basically, as best as you can. In my submission text for this game, I described a run of this as an exercise in controlled chaos, and I feel like that's pretty accurate. Because that's pretty much this game in a nutshell. Because, like, to get a time as good as ours, which, by the way, our times are all 10 seconds apart collectively, which is crazy to think about for a game this random. You have to get, like, really lucky with the AI racers, make sure you don't get in your way too much. And, of course, make good use of the boosting with the nitrous. It's 2 roads down. Oh, we're not getting the good track I thought of yet. Dang. That's fine. Yep, see, that's what I was talking about with the racers forcing you into a wall. That can just happen sometimes. Make our way through the course here. Not too much to talk about with this course, just making use of some of those advanced techniques I talked about, like cutting corners a bit more precisely with the induced oversteering. Some ramps here, so we gotta carefully maneuver around them to avoid them. There's also some gnomes here too, hidden in the bushes, but like they're so far out of the way, you don't really need to worry about them. Oh yeah, I do want to note, by the way, because I haven't thought to mention it this whole run somehow. Mind you, we are driving 85 miles per hour, 90 if you're using nitrous, like I talked about before, and we're on a lawnmower. That would be terrifying if it did that in real life. Like, I don't think that would exactly be feasible as a real-life motorsport, although... At least not this fast. Although I did look it up, just out of curiosity, and I think lawnmower racing is an actual real sport that people do. Maybe not officially, but it is a thing. Maybe not this intense, but it is a real thing. I have looked it up. What is that guy doing? Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's what I was talking about again with the AI racers doing weird stuff. Okay, I grinded up against them and tilted over. Fun. As much as we kind of dog on this game for being like generic with the track design, because like I said, a lot of the tracks look the same. I kind of like this one actually. The overcast skies and everything are really nice. So I've been thinking to commentate or use my nitrous because I've been trying to commentate this little run. Trying to commentate and run this at the same time is definitely a multitask for sure. Because like it doesn't look that exciting at first, but then you actually try and play it and deal with the AI racers jank, and that's a whole other thing. So on our third lap here, all the races throughout this run are pretty short because of how fast we are using the fastest mower here. A lot of the races end up being like 1 minute or so IGT, and time was when we crossed the finish line. Right there. So we ended up at 16:15. That's honestly not too bad. Average times for all three of us that are submitting have typically ended up at around 16-17 minutes. And we will all be submitting with a 20-minute estimate is the idea. Technically, we could go a bit tighter, like 18 minutes. But we figured that 20 minutes would be the safest, just to account for any random stuff the AI racers, that's just the jank of the game in general, throws at us. But yeah, that's Lawnmower Racing. Really fun jank indie game that I think would be really fun to show off for the Silly Block. So thank you, Games Committee, for watching. And also shouts to Joey and or King J and Rhino mentioned before. They'll also be submitting this. And hopefully we get to show this game off at the big stage. Thanks.